If I could shout 3 words back in time to my 40-year-old self, those words would be sleep more better. Sadly, my 40-year-old self couldn't hear me, but my 58-year-old self did, and I hope you will as well today, because for the past 5 years, I have been obsessively working on sleeping more better. And in this video, I'm going to share with you everything I've learned over those 5 years about how to get more better sleep. The 3 big levers you need to pull, and the 25 plus techniques and tips and hacks that will move those levers, and we'll wrap it up with the one behavior that is guaranteed to absolutely trash your sleep. So stick around to the end. Hi, I'm Kevin Mepham, and this is Thrivespan, building a life that thrives in every way, now and as you age. So, quick disclaimer, if you're someone who is not convinced that sleep matters, I'll address that soon in a video. But I recommend you stick around for this anyway, because hey, if you're only going to sleep for 4 or 5 hours a night, you might as well make the most of it. And we're going to talk about making the most of your sleep opportunity here, even though I think it should be more than 5 hours. And that brings us to those 3 levers. Those 3 levers are sleep opportunity, the amount of time that you spend in bed, lying still, eyes closed, focused on sleep. Second lever, sleep efficiency. This is how much of your sleep opportunity you are actually asleep versus how much you're awake. And this breaks down into time you spend awake trying to get to sleep and time you wake up in the middle of the night and have to try to get back to sleep. So those 2 types of wakeful periods. And the last lever is sleep quality. And this is not about amount of time asleep, but it is about the quality that you get, the amount of deep sleep and REM sleep, 2 particular stages of sleep that have you specific functions that you get over the course of the night, and the amount of restfulness that you get in your sleep. Because believe it or not, it is possible to get sleep and have it not be particularly restful. Now, these things are difficult to judge. It's actually hard to judge how much wakeful time you have during the night, how much deep in REM you get. You're not going to be able to get that on just by feeling, and certainly not the heart rate and heart rate variability that indicate whether you're getting a good restful sleep. So it is important for your progress in building good sleep to have a sleep tracker of some kind, whether it's a ring or a watch or other fitness tracker. That will allow you, as you experiment with all of these different tips and techniques, to see which ones work for you and do more of those. And everything that I'm talking about today, are things that I have tested and that I have found to work and that have actually moved the needle on my sleep. Starting with lever 1, sleep opportunity. And that is spending more time in bed, lying down, eyes closed, focused on sleep. There are a couple of steps to this. The first is spend more time in bed. Yep. Get to bed earlier, wake up later. Choose, however you decide to do that, choose your start and end times. Be deliberate about this. If you're going to create 8 hours of sleep opportunity, which is what I find I need in order to get 7 hours of actual sleep, then pick your start and end time. So mine are 11 p.m. to 7 a.m. Right? Then to make sure that you don't miss your start time, I highly recommend you set a bedtime alarm, which is take your start time that you want to be starting sleep, eyes closed, and back that off by however long it takes you to get ready to bed, ready for bed once you start, and set that alarm and use that as your cue to start your bedtime routine so you don't miss the start of that sleep window, because you're not going to get that sleep time back. The other thing you can do is, you should do, is spend that time in bed that you're intending to be sleep opportunity, actually spend it focused on sleep. And that means not doing things in bed that are not focused on sleep, not scrolling through your phone, not watching TV, not arguing with your partner. The one thing that is okay to do with your partner or by yourself, in my own experience, proven out by the metrics and by science, is sex. Sex is good for sleep. We all know the stereotype of somebody who rolls over after sex and goes straight to sleep. It does, that's true. It also does positively affect your sleep quality going forward. Orgasms in particular are good for sleep. So I'll just leave that there. But other than that, keep the non-sleep activities out of your sleep opportunity window. Thank you. Now, okay, you are going to have to give things up to make this extra time for sleep opportunity. I know. You're going to have to give up the time you're spending faffing around in bed with your phone or with a TV or with your laptop. And you're going to have to give up the other things that you were doing late into the night that are in the way of sleep. I can try to tell you that in my experience, probably the single easiest way to feel like you're thriving is to be well slept. It's amazing. It's if you could get a pill form of this, people would pay massive money to feel what it feels like to be well slept. Coffee's our best substitute, but we'll get to that later. If I can't convince you though, like so much of what we're going to talk about, go try it for yourself. And we'll talk about that when we get to the call to action. Try it and see. Frack around and find out. Other question that comes up sometimes is, does napping count as sleep opportunity? Yes, kinda. Napping counts as sleep opportunity. You're absolutely getting some sleep during that. The downsides are, one, if you do it too close to bedtime, especially if you're having trouble falling asleep, then it's going to relieve some of that sleep pressure and it's going to make it harder to fall asleep. You also, you are very rarely going to get any deep or REM sleep during a nap. So it's not going to give you the deep and REM sleep that you need. And for a little bit of sleep during a nap, and it really should not be a long nap. It should be maybe 20 minutes, 30 minutes max. If you're sleeping for hours in the middle of the day, that really is going to cause you problems trying to get to sleep later in the night. There's a lot of overhead with taking a nap in terms of getting ready and falling asleep for the nap and then shaking the cobwebs off when you're done. So my experience, and I used to be a daily napper, is I have been much more effective with the quality and quantity of sleep I get and the productivity of my day when I got all my sleep at night rather than napping. But up to you, but if you're going to do it well before bedtime, keep it short, and don't let it affect your ability to fall asleep. That is the sleep opportunity lever. Lever 2 is the sleep efficiency lever. And that is how much of the time you spend in your sleep opportunity actually asleep. And this breaks down into two areas. Are you awake for a long time trying to get to sleep? Or are you awake throughout the night where you wake up and it takes you a while to fall back asleep? Most people are one or the other. I am the fall asleep right away, wake up and stay awake throughout the night kind of guy. My partner is the sleeps through the night just fine, but takes a long time to fall asleep. So She's awake when I'm asleep. I'm awake when she's asleep. It's a good thing we love each other. If you are someone who has challenged to fall asleep faster, this is something that you create for yourself throughout the day. Starting with when you wake up. Wake up, get out of bed, get moving, get natural light in your eyeballs. What you're doing there is you're setting the start of your daily clock and your circadian rhythm, and that then is going to set the bedtime end of the clock and is going to make it easier to fall asleep if you get up properly. Next is caffeine. Okay. Caffeine, we're going to do a slight deep dive here because it's such an important part of how we deal with sleep, and it can have a massive effect on our ability to get to sleep if we manage it wrong. We need to understand how it works. Why do we feel sleepy? We feel sleepy because a chemical called adenosine builds up in our system throughout the day. It is a byproduct of the energy that we burn as we move through the day. As we burn energy, adenosine builds up. We have receptors on our cells for adenosine. They detect that buildup, and those signals feel like sleepiness to our brain. And over the course of the day, as more builds up, we feel sleepier. When we get a good night's sleep, during that good night's sleep, that adenosine is cleared away and we start the morning refreshed, and then this whole cycle completes again. By the end of the day, we built up a lot of adenosine, a lot of sleep pressure, and the cell detectors detect it and tell us that we're sleepy, and we fall asleep. Caffeine does not make the adenosine go away. What it does is it camps out in the receptors so that they can't detect the buildup of adenosine. So we don't feel sleepy, but all that sleep-inducing chemical is still there. There are two implications to this. The first is that caffeine is not a substitute for sleep. It doesn't make the chemicals go away like sleep does. So if we don't get enough sleep, those chemicals are just going to keep carrying over. The portion that didn't get cleared is going to keep carrying over from day to day and build up a larger and larger sleep debt. Caffeine does not help with that. Two, caffeine blocks our ability to feel sleepy. So if we have enough caffeine still in our system when we are getting ready for bed, we're going to have a tough time falling asleep, which is why we're talking about it here in the How to Fall Asleep More Easily section. Caffeine has a long half-life. Of course, the more you drink, the more will still be in your system blocking receptors as you get to bed. So depending on your particular coffee metabolism, 9 to 12 hours before bedtime, you need to stop caffeine. And don't drink 3 thermoses of the stuff just before that 9 to 12 hour point, because then you will still have a lot in your system at that time. I know it's hard. It's a vicious cycle. You need to take it because you don't get enough sleep, but you don't get enough sleep because you're taking it too close to bedtime. You got to break that cycle. Wean yourself off if you have to, but do it. Okay. Next thing in your daytime ritual leading up to bedtime that affects your ability to fall asleep: don't eat large meals closer than 3 hours to bedtime. Light snack might be okay if it takes the edge off the hunger, because that can get in the way of sleep, but keep your large meal, your dinner meal, at least 3 hours before bedtime. Exercise is good for sleep, but finish your exercise by 2 hours before bedtime. As you get to 1 hour before bedtime, now you're really getting into wind down mode. You want to switch off bright overhead lights. We've got smart lights installed here that with a voice command we can turn to a very low level dark amber, and that's been tremendously helpful. Get those bright overhead lights off so that you're signaling to your receptors that it's nighttime and it's coming up on time for sleep. Stop the activating activities an hour before bed as well. That means, again, Nothing on social media that's going to get you all hyped up. Nothing that is going to be a habitual doom scroll that's going to keep you scrolling through. Nothing too excited TV-wise. You want to wind down so that you are in a state where you can get to sleep. That is also going to help you get into a relaxed state, which is going to help you stay asleep and is going to give you higher quality sleep. So this wind down routine is really important. Helps to put your phone on grayscale, just like I set an alarm. I also have a timer on my phone that sets it into bedtime mode, into grayscale, at right around the same time that the alarm goes off to tell me it's time for bed. That makes the phone a lot less interesting. Okay, that is that's the falling asleep. That's the daytime part of the routine. Now the nighttime part of the routine, as you get to bed, the things that will help you get to sleep is keep your bed cool. It is a drop in body temperature is one of the cues to your body that it is time to sleep. So 65 to 67 degrees or some sort of cooling mattress pad is going to be really helpful there on getting that body temperature drop that will cue your body to start going to sleep. Complete darkness or which is really hard to do, blackout curtains, electrical tape over all the little blinky lights. Really, I actually highly recommend a high quality sleep mask. I use a Manta. It's got these little eye cups here that there's no pressure on my eyes. I can blink and not even feel that the mask is there. This is a complete blackout mask at a lot less effort than trying to black out your entire bedroom. Highly recommend a high quality sleep mask to handle the darkness part. If you're going to bring any technology into bed to wind down, like you need to read, like my partner does, an e-reader only, a dumb e-reader that doesn't have a bunch of other apps on it that you're going to be tempted to use, and grayscale, like those old school Kindles is the way to go. Okay, that's a set of hacks that if you follow them should allow you to fall asleep more quickly. Now, the other piece, those of us who, like me, who wrestle more with the wakefulness during the night, you might think that one of the ways to get less wakefulness is to stop hydration a lot earlier so you don't have to pee. Well, I tried that, and at least for me, I still woke up. I just didn't need to pee. That, by the way, is still a good thing, because what's really important for wakefulness, other than one thing that we're going to get to, the trashy thing we're going to get to at the end, is not being too awake. If you're going to if you're one of those people that is going to wake up several times throughout the night, the real skill that I've been honing for the last 5 years is to be like, you wake up like a whale. You're just going to come up. Blowhole's going to poke through the surface, take a breath, then come back down again. Just barely, huge whale, hardly anything breaks the surface, and it's just for a moment. That's how you want to wake up and get back to sleep. So that involves, the main thing that involves is stopping thoughts that are activating. Because what really wakes you up is to get your mind fully engaged, especially with anything that is stressful, shot of adrenaline, into fight or flight. Man, you're going to have a tough time getting back to sleep after that. So the idea is really keep the thoughts out altogether. Mindfulness meditation is how you practice doing that. Another trick that I do is what's called 4-7-8 breathing, which is breathe in for a 4 count, hold your breath for 7 counts, breathe out for 8. It slows your breathing way down, does 2 things. That slow breathing is a way of telling your body that you are in a relaxed state, and it keeps you out of that fight or flight mode. And it gives you a focus. By focusing on your breathing, you're less likely to have thoughts. If you do have thoughts, if you decide that you want to think about work tomorrow or what your mom did to you 10 years ago. What you need to do is commit that the, say, 8-hour window that you are giving to yourself for sleep opportunity, that is a shift. And your job, you have a job during that shift. And that job is to focus on sleep and nothing else. Nothing else is your job during that shift. So every thought that pops up, tell it, save it for when I clock out of my sleep shift. Doesn't matter now. Commit to that. It's just like commit to getting back to sleep when you wake up, all the way up until the end of your shift happens, and that is when your alarm goes off. Until then, your job is to sleep, and you commit to that, and you just keep working on sleeping. You keep breathing, you keep staying relaxed, you come back down again. The advantage of a sleep mask here is that you don't want any cues of what time it is. No clocks, phone face down, no light cues, which is where the sleep mask comes in. You don't want to know until that alarm goes off. You have no idea what time it is, because thoughts are going to enter your head if you look at your clock and it's an hour before you're supposed to get up. Oh, I don't think I can get back to sleep. I'll just get up now. And there, you've just blown an hour of sleep opportunity. Or I see the light coming from underneath the curtain. I might as well just get up. Blown an hour of sleep opportunity. Or you wake up in the middle of the night and you go, shh, it's 4 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I'm never gonna get back up to sleep now. Oh, and then all of a sudden you're panicked about being awake at 4, and boom, there's that shot of adrenaline, and now it's a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're not gonna be able to fall back to sleep. So, no time cues, no clocks, no daylight, keep the mask on. Earplugs are really helpful. They can help with the audio time cues. They help with noises throughout the house and outside the house, and your partner snoring and everything else. I don't know why more people don't use them. They are fantastic sleep and very cheap, very simple sleep aids. I do take 2 supplements that work to keep me calm and less stressed, that I've found measurably help with sleep. And those are ashwagandha and magtine, otherwise known as magnesium L-threonate. Got those from Dr. Peter Attia's sleep routine, but verified for myself that they work. It may be that only one works and not the other. I don't know. I've always used them as a pair, but the 2 of them combined, I get a measurable improvement in my sleep efficiency. So it's the only pill I'm going to talk about on this. The rest of the stuff from the falling asleep faster stuff still applies, which is the darkness, the no electronics, keep it cool throughout the night, and then maybe warm it up as you get close to bedtime. You're just trying to simulate that caveman era. That brings us to lever 3, which is sleep quality. This one's different. This is not about how much you sleep, but how good your sleep is. It breaks down into 2 areas. One of them is, are you getting enough of the specialized stages of sleep, the deep sleep early in the night, the REM sleep later in the night? One way you can tank that is to go to bed late, because then you will kind of skip past your deep sleep window and you will get very little, if any, deep sleep, or wake up really early compared to your normal wake time, in which case you will probably cut out most or all of your REM sleep. Addressing the wakefulness issues will help, particularly with the REM sleep, which is the wakefulness is usually at the latter part of the night. And if you're waking up a lot, then you're really chopping your REM sleep up. And if you're awake a lot during that time, then you're losing REM sleep. The other aspect of sleep quality is, are you in a restful mode versus in a stress mode? And yes, you can be asleep and still be not fully in your rest and relax system, still be in your fight or flight system. And that shows up in having a higher resting heart rate and a lower heart rate variability, which is an indication. And those 2 together are an indication that you are still in fight or flight system. And you will, even if you're sleeping, your sleep will not be as restful. You won't feel as rested the next day. And a lot of the stuff that relates to getting into a relaxed state will help with that. But the biggest behavior that will hurt your sleep quality and will also hurt your sleep efficiency and will even mess with your sleep opportunity and will basically just trash your sleep in every single way. Well, some of you have been hoping that we weren't going to bring this up, but I have to, because I got 5 years of data on this, and that is the effect of alcohol on sleep. And alcohol will just chew up your sleep and spit it out. If you don't address the effect of alcohol on your sleep, then all the rest of the stuff you're doing is just pissing in the wind. That is how significant it is. Okay? So I have 5 years data as a usually moderate drinker, sometimes, which means some days drink, or one drink early in the night, and some days not drink at all. And then sometimes, like this past week, it was my partner's big birthday week, and I might still I might still look a little rough if you go back to previous videos and you compare them to this. And I know exactly what alcohol does. Okay? Now, there's a popular myth that alcohol is actually good for sleep. It's a sleep aid. Have a nightcap. Alcohol is not a sleep aid. Alcohol is a sedative. And sedation is not sleep. You are not getting the benefits of sleep while you're sedated. You are not getting deep sleep while you're sedated. It trashes deep sleep. Alcohol disrupts REM sleep. Oh, and by the way, REM sleep's late in the night. Hasn't all the alcohol worn off by then? Wouldn't I just wake up in the middle of the night and blow 0.00 on my little blood alcohol meter? The effects of alcohol on sleep extend way beyond when you are legally sober. The alcohol is no longer in your bloodstream. It is in your brain. It is affecting your sleep. I can attest to this. I have seen this. The one place where it really shows up is you get jagged sleep, particularly in the later stages of the night. So that wakefulness problem is going to be way worse. And when you're lying there awake, if you really tune into your body, you'll find that you have a much faster, harder heartbeat. You can feel it. And that is because alcohol is not only a sedative, but it is a stimulant in a way at the same time. It amps up your fight or flight system, which makes, again, from what we were talking before with wakefulness and trying to stay as restful as possible when we wake up, alcohol doesn't behave that way. When you're awake, you will have a hell of a time getting back to sleep because you are in fight and flight mode when you wake up under the influence of alcohol. You also pee more, so you get up more. But even without that, that wakefulness is really going to be a problem. Your sleep is not going to be restful, and because you're going to be in that fight or flight mode, you are going to see that on your tracker as much higher heart rate that doesn't taper down to a normal level until practically the time you wake up. And the same thing on the other side, a much lower heart rate variability, which is an indication that you're in fight and flight mode, and that won't even come up to normal until close to awake. I mean, that may be 8-9 hours after you had that last drink, if you had multiple drinks, before you actually get to some semblance of normal in terms of fight and flight system. What I have personally found is one drink 3 hours before bedtime, no noticeable effect on sleep. And that's not just feeling, that is in the measurements. My heart rate variability, my heart rate, my deep sleep, all of those are relatively ineffective by that level of moderate drinking. But more drinks and drinks closer to bedtime definitely have an effect. So if you are going to drink early and not often. If you are going to party, don't do it. Don't drink hard very often at all, because those nights are pretty much trash from a sleep standpoint, and you're going to, like I have after this past week, spend quite a few days on the suffer bus, darlings, before and require you to be very fastidious with your, what we call the sleep hygiene, everything that we're talking about here, in order for you to recover from that. Okay? That's what I got to say. To summarize, 3 levers for sleep: sleep opportunity, making sure you allow enough time for sleep and that you actually spend that time focused on sleeping; sleep efficiency, which is the things that you do in order to fall asleep faster, so you're not spending a bunch of wakeful time at the beginning of the night, which is the things you do throughout the day to do that; and then the wakefulness during the night, and the whole idea of surfacing like a whale, not getting at all anxious, not getting a bunch of thoughts, in order to just barely break the surface into wakefulness and then get right back down into sleep. And then sleep quality, and the biggest lever you got there, as well as with these other ones that you can use to beat these things down into absolute trash, is alcohol. So please moderate your alcohol use, or don't be surprised if you do all these other things and they don't seem to be helping. Okay? You may just have to find out for yourself, like I did, by doing the sober nights and the moderate nights and the not so moderate nights, and just seeing on your tracker what you get. Okay? So speaking of seeing what you get, call to action, because there's always a call to action. Try it for a week. If you are not getting 8 hours of sleep opportunity right now, if you are getting 6, try to take it up to 7 for a week. If you're getting 7, try to take it up to 8. And that is actual time spent in bed, eyes closed, focused on sleep. Try that for a week, just a week, not asking that much here. See how it feels. If you're there already 8 hours, but you are struggling with falling asleep faster, or with with not falling asleep fast enough, or with a lot of wakefulness, then whichever one of those you're struggling with, take the tips associated with those and apply those for a week and see what happens. If you think that alcohol, as I've described it, you might not have realized it, could be having an effect on your sleep, try for a week to either just go dry or keep it to 1 drink no closer than 3 hours to bedtime, and see what that does. Just see how it feels. It's an experiment, okay? That's my challenge to you. Then come back and post in the comments and tell me how it works. And if you struggle to take real action, if you have a hard time doing what I just described, then watch this video here on the action loop and how you can use that to break through the barriers between you and action and turbocharge your growth and your self-development. See you on the next one.